Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's May 8th, 2019. I'm outside, and this is another episode of Ask Me Anything. So let's get started with a couple of the questions and comments. So Janine Balcom commented on one of the videos in the Starting the Sweet Potato series that we started here this season. We started that series on February 27th. I haven't got the slips in the ground yet. But here's Janine's questions. Hi Kevin, new to your channel. Sounds like a great way to do sweet potatoes. Gonna give it a try. I have a question though. How long before planting outdoors do you start this process? Really great question. So first thing is, where are we located? We're located in Zone 5A in Oswego, New York, in a very cold temperate climate. Our last frost date was almost 2 weeks ago. We've had 3 frosts since the last frost date, so we can't count on that here. We don't plant any of our peppers or tomatoes or sweet potatoes or potatoes, put anything in the ground until Memorial Weekend here. Which, if you back calculate that to February 27th, when I started the sweet potato series, and this is an experiment, it's still at this point, it's basically almost 3 months before we get them. We start the process into the point where we get the sweet potato slips in the ground. Now, based on what we've experienced thus far, I think we can do it in 2 months. Only have to start the sweet potatoes in the soil, like I described in the first video in the series, approximately 2 months beforehand, and possibly even shorter than that. But we're in a very cold temperate climate where we don't get these into the ground until Memorial Day weekend. Certainly the potatoes that you use can't be sprayed with any chemicals that are going to slow or retard the development of the slips as they develop. And there'll be more videos coming on the Growing Sweet Potato series. Actually, I moved the sweet potatoes into the work area where we start all our seedlings in, and they started getting aphids on them. And just yesterday, I moved them outside into our western garden plot and covered them up thoroughly with a frost protection as well. So I'll be getting them gradually a bit more exposed, but by moving the potatoes outside where the aphids don't survive as well and some of the beneficial insects move in. I also mentioned in one of my later videos on this Growing Sweet Potatoes series that I would order some green lacewings, which are really ravenous predators of the aphids and many other pest insects. That hasn't really worked out. I haven't seen the green lacewings larvae being produced yet, and it's been over 10 days since we started that. But anyways, at this point, we're going to be at about 90 days before our slips go in the ground. There'll be more videos coming on that, but I think it can be done in far less time, probably just 50, 60 days, I think, starting the sweet potato process. And then you have plenty of slips to start your garden. If you're really doing a very small garden, probably even as quick as 45 days before the transplant date that you're ready to get those slips into your garden. So thanks again for the question, Janine. I really appreciate it. Jigajaw asked some questions. So this is in response to one of my videos on either calculating the amount of solar panels you need to install to meet your energy requirements on your property, and I'll put a link to that video in the upper right hand corner, or the video on one of the other videos that I did on solar panels as well. The question is, how do you make certain that the roof will never leak after the panels are installed? And the next question is, when do you think you're going to see the 50 cent per watt solar panel price come down to that point? So I'll start with the second part first, and these are both really good questions. So the cost of the solar panels, creating the solar panels, has steadily been coming down over time. When will it hit 50 cents per watt? You know, I don't know. You can certainly pick them up for $1 a watt or less, which is far less than what I paid initially, and certainly way farther less than when I first started investigating the idea of starting with solar panels. The other thing is that the efficiency of the solar panels has been steadily increasing as well, but we're still nowhere near where I think we're ultimately going to be in about 10 years from now. I think our efficiency of solar panels will potentially double or even triple within 10 to 12 years from now. There's so many different research avenues that are being explored at this time. I really think that there's great things coming in solar panel efficiency and cost reduction as well. Now to the first part of your question, how do you make certain that your roof will never leak after the panels are installed? So a little background, so that's the house back there behind us. That's a salt box, passive solar, super insulated, energy efficient, with a large thermal battery underground, thermal mass unit, where we store the heat during the warm days, put it downstairs. It actually helps with cooling of the house as well during the hot days. But it's a super energy efficient design, with the exception of the windows. The windows, when we built that in the early 80s, were very poor quality Pella windows. The windows have improved significantly in the United States. Your very best Marvin and Pella and Anderson windows, and I can't think of the rest of the companies right now, are really still substandard. Not even in the same ballpark as our European counterparts that are producing super efficient windows design. So that's just something I'll mention at this time. I'll probably make some videos on some of the pitfalls of the energy efficient windows that we're using here in the United States. But when I built that house, we used fiberglass shingles. We used 30-year guarantee fiberglass shingles, installed them on the house and the garage, those areas over there. We also had an aluminum roof that we put on this building, this workshop, and the workshop behind the camera, we put a steel farmer's type metal roof on that. And so we've had experience with a few different types of roofing materials. The fiberglass shingles, well, in about 22 to 23 years, I could see some significant wear. We didn't have any leaks. I always want to catch things before they get to be a big problem. But the shingles were wearing down over time. And you can see that with that salt box shape there, we actually created this southern face of the roof to be set up for solar panels. And so my goal was, as soon as possible, after building the house, as soon as we could afford it, to have solar panels installed on that roof, which was the way that everyone talked about doing things. As time went on, I saw that with having an extended overhang, a 2-foot overhang on the house, was necessary for keeping the house more energy efficient during the summertime, so it was much cooler as a result of the shading of the upper windows on the second floor. And also the shingles were wearing down. So just before installing our solar panels, I had made the decision that, geez, I wanted to have the shade trees on the south side of the house. That aided in cooling. I wanted the extended overhang. And I didn't want to have to think about, geez, in another 20, 25 years, I got to have someone come in, take all the solar panels off, put a new roof on, put the solar panels back on, potentially replace any damaged ones during the process. I thought of all those things and I thought, man, this just doesn't work for me. And certainly this is all context specific information that I'm sharing with you. I had heard about rack mounting systems, and when I started investigating them, and since we have so much property, I went to the added expense of putting the rack mount system way out back where I have much more solar exposure without any shade trees creating so much significant issues. Most people don't have that situation. They live in a city, they're lucky if their roof faces south. There's a whole bunch of obstacles, but we were fortunate enough to have a location on the property that had good solar exposure that I could install a rack mount system. The advantages of a rack mount system, the disadvantage is, well, it's more expensive building the structure that's there. The other option is, if you're a farmer or someone in the country, you could build an additional structure that's oriented appropriately for gaining the most solar energy as possible, and build your roof like that one and get the optimal angle of the roof, in other words the pitch of the roof, so that you can maximize the energy being collected from that roof. I went with a rack mounting system. Would it have been ideal to put a different building out there and use that as storage now that we've got a building shortage in this place for putting all our materials and all? But the rack mounting system's really good. We can easily get to all of the solar panels, the microinverters underneath them. We can inspect things very quickly and easily. If something has to be replaced, it isn't a big deal to do it with a rack mounted system. And as I've talked about rack mounted systems in the past, with the high snow load that we get in this part of the country, I would have raised the rack mounting system up from where it is at its current elevation as well. So and a bit on shingles. So the fiberglass shingles that had a 30-year warranty, which we didn't get any reimbursement because I needed to replace them when they were about 22 or 23 years old. At that time, I really looked at the different roofing materials. Now, I mentioned that we had steel metal roofing on the back workshop. We had aluminum metal roofing on the first workshop, the first barn, and the metal roofing, I saw that it was starting to rust, and that was probably maybe a 15-year-old roof. The aluminum roofing was in perfect shape. So aluminum roofing is really, really nice, but you're really going to have to put in some good insulation behind it, and you really have to make sure that during the installation process with any metal roofing that care is taken. Now, certainly the metal roofing that you've seen on the buildings that we've got around on the property right here are the standard type ones that you'd see in agricultural settings, or many people are putting on the roofs now. It's not a standing, I think they call it standing seam or raised seam metal roofing, where there are no fasteners that are visible. Where you don't have the fasteners visible and the more expensive metal roofing, I think that's a better material. But you really need to make sure that the metal is adequately protected to prevent corrosion and rusting. The aluminum roof worked very, very well. No significant corrosion, no deterioration of the metal roof, but it was louder than heck inside of a building during rainstorms and all. So those are things to consider. The thing that we ultimately went with was a composite slate roof. So slate roofs are one of the heaviest roofs to have up there. And certainly this is context specific too as far as roofing goes, because if you're in an area that's prone to forest fires and all, we really want to make sure that we're putting on something that is inflammable. As far as I'm concerned, fiberglass roofs shouldn't be considered. Vinyl siding shouldn't be considered. All of those things just will go right up in the event of a fire. So choosing the right building materials for the mitigating the potential damage based on weather events or natural occurrences, devastating events that happen in your geographic area, those are things to consider. So one of the materials that I looked into, which was brand new at the time, was composite slate roof. The slate looked good. The shingles, the slates were easy enough, appeared to be easy enough to install. We actually used copper and we used a new fabric underneath it. We'll have to see how well this works. It has a 50-year warranty. I was looking at it at that time and saying, well, I'm going to get to be the point where I can't get up on roofs anymore. So this is something I want to do at once, spend the extra money, and it was much more expensive getting the composite. It's much more resistant to hailstorms, that sort of thing. It does have some fire retardant properties as well, but if you have a tree that falls on it that's burning, yes, it may burn. So and if it's fastened down correctly, the chances of high windstorms affecting it are much less as well. So not like your fiberglass shingles and all. So the roofing material, if I were to put solar panels on top of a roofing material, I would try to get those roofing materials that have the longest duration possible, so that, you know, if I do have to pull the solar panels off, I would have much more of an opportunity to upgrade them at a lower cost, the solar panels, if I had to replace the roof. So I hope that all makes sense. I apologize for rambling a bit there. The other thing is that there are new solar panel shingles that are in their third phase of research and development now. Elon Musk, part of the Tesla's acquisition of SolarCity, not only makes the solar panels, but they're also in the third stage of testing solar shingles, and so they have to be really hardy and all. So what they're going through for the process, they probably have them in wind tunnels or pressure washers going on them. I don't know what they're doing to really assess the durability and the functionality of these solar shingles. But that's an option in the future as well. I'm always looking for, so I always want higher efficiency. However, I'm always also looking at the durability or the resilience of the products that we're using, because you never know what your financial situation is going to be, what your resources are, what your physical capabilities are years ahead when an event happens and you lose function. And when we're talking about using solar panels, the thing that I really like about even the current solar panels, there's nothing mechanical. Once they're fired up and they're working, they tend to work for many years. It's standard for solar panels to have a 25-year warranty, or potentially even longer. So, I like the idea that there's nothing mechanical to go wrong with them. Then we have all the connections and the materials that make up those connections. So is there dry rot in some of the encasing materials, like the cables and all? So that's a possibility. And when we're talking about putting in solar shingles, I'm not sure how they'll be connected or how those connections will all be protected from corrosion, weather events and all. And we live in an area with pretty extreme, we live in a corrosive environment in the location we are, which many people along coasts suffer with as well. So I got Transapien TV asked the question, hello, thanks for the time and thorough review with growing the microgreens at home, and I'll put a link to that video in the upper right hand corner. She was asking what types of lights are we using. So I went ahead and updated that video in the description below with the current light fixtures that I've been using growing the microgreens, and they're a heavy duty 4-tube shop light with a metal fabric below it, and I really do like these light fixtures. They're fantastic. They're really worth the investment cost-wise, but they aren't LED. And I've been transitioning just about everything to LED because I want to do my part other than doing things economically and for a longer duration lifespan. But these fluorescent tubes work extremely well. If I were to do it over again, I'd use the same light fixtures that I'm using over in the work area, starting all the seedlings, and those are Fiat LED shop lights, which is also a link in the description of that video as well. So I hope this video was of value and answered some of these questions. I really do appreciate the comments and questions that we get all the time on the videos, and that's really helpful. I'm a little bit slow in getting back to them because right now we're busting our humps trying to catch up with things around here, and there's more videos to come soon. So if you found the video of value, please give us a thumb up, share Jesus! Can I speak with this mouth? All right. So I hope you found this video of value. Please give us a thumbs up if you thought the video was of value. Please be sure to ask any questions, leave any comments, share your experiences with these topics. I think it's really worthwhile us all sharing information together as a community. And I certainly do appreciate your thoughts and comments as well. Thanks so much for watching, folks, and have a great day. Bye-bye now.